The experts are saying the market's going to collapse. What should you do?
And Brent, I am so excited about this because inevitably this happens. There is always someone out there saying, okay, the next crash is coming, the next downturn is coming. You need to be afraid, you need to beware. And this happens even more as we start tracing new all-time highs, as we start seeing new movement in the market. People say, hey, wait, hey, hold on, hey, wait. And if you don't believe us, look at the headlines that we're seeing right now. You can see, here's one from October 27th. Will the stock market crash in 2025 for risk factors? Well, little do they know, back in April, it crashed like 19%. We've already seen that. How about this one from the Motley Fool? This is as of November 10th. Is the mother of all stock market crashes on the horizon? Or this one also from November 10th. Is a stock market crash coming in 2026? A lot of people worried about what's going to happen with the markets moving forward.
I'm so glad the content team put these headlines there, because when I saw that this is what we're going to be talking about, I was like, are there really people? I guess you could probably, any day and time, we could go and just say, what are people saying? Because this is why you have to be careful who you let in your head, is because, yes, there's always going to be people trying to whisper in your ear on why you should be concerned about investing. And we've done so much content on this. I think it's important. First, though, but we'll level set. I think it's give context. What are the top concerns? I think we have a CFA on staff, right here sitting at the desk with me. Maybe you can add some sanity to the concerns that people are even saying we should be paying attention to.
Well, there's some economic realities that exist. I mean, right now, there is and has been a slowing job market, and inflation was sort of a wild concern coming out of the pandemic, and it's still been lingering. It's still a concern there. And I think what has really got a lot of people uneven is that, generally speaking, the solutions that are implemented to combat these two forces are in opposition of one another. Oftentimes, okay, if there's a slowing job market, we're going to lower interest rates so that we can stimulate the economy. But if there is lingering inflation, we want to raise interest rates to try to slow that down. So even the solutions are in conflict with one another. And people are saying, man, something seems awry. Something doesn't seem right. And I think, just anecdotally, people are seeing how well the markets have done. They've seen that, they hear all-time new highs. And whenever we hear all-time new highs, that must mean that the other shoe is about to drop.
Well, it's all, look, I was a kid the pre-computers and all the Mad Libs were, you'd pass time on road trips. And I feel like a lot of times headlines these days are just modern Mad Libs, where they say, okay, inflation, last year, jobs, they throw all these words together and come up with these headlines because you can cherry pick the data on inflation multiple ways. Yes, there are some very troubling or concerning inflation data points, but there's also other things that are, as a counterweight, coming down in price. So it feels like this is something you can't necessarily control. You can watch, but it's not something that I'd be setting my plan off of. How about you hear all the headlines, taxes are changing, trade, tariffs. What's the CFA take on all that stuff?
Yeah, so we talked a lot about this. We did a mini show kind of looking at the state of the economy. So if you want to just go do sort of like a deeper dive, you can go look at this mini show, the state of the economy in 2025. We're kind of dive into that. But we know that in 2025, there have been a bunch of headlines about what's going to happen with tax policy and what's going to happen with international trade and how are tariffs going to be imposed and what are the implications of that going to be. So much so that we already alluded to this. In April of this year, between March and April, we saw the S&P 500 drop 19%. So this is not new news. These aren't new things we're hearing about, but we still haven't heard how all of this is going to resolve and what the ultimate long-term implications of some of the decisions right now being made are going to be. And again, whenever there's uncertainty and we don't know exactly how things are going to shake out, I think investors and the market in general start to get a little uncomfortable.
Well, I'll do one more, and then I want to talk about actually pivot and say, what does this mean for you? Because I like people come to us and look for guidance, and we want to kind of help you know how to navigate all this. But the third one is this AI bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Now, look, this is one, because realize I've been very confessional, and I'll make sure I send this clip to my buddies right afterwards because it's kind of my way of paying it forward that I didn't let them do it. Is I was at spring training 3 or 4 years ago, and one of my buddies is like, "Hey, should I go and put $10,000 in NVIDIA?" And you know what I tell him? No, go buy the S&P 500. Because that's what if you ask me today, I'm going to tell you the same thing.
And I bet he's so happy about that advice.
Well, he brings it up to me constantly. He's like, you realize that $10,000 would now be worth $97,000. Who's keeping track though? But it's it is one of those things but it's back to, are we at a bubble? And this is the part I'll just throw in my opinion, then I'll love to get the CFA take. We don't know. I keep talking about this concept of law of accelerating returns, is that technology is expanding at such a speed that it's hard to keep up with, that you don't know what is the new dominant disruptive technology. And AI very much, there is a race going on right now to see who can get in the forefront and dominate this. That's why I still stand by. I love the S&P 500 because it's really going to cut through all the noise. But that doesn't mean, if you got NVIDIA and you bought it at spring training 4 years ago, you're probably going to be okay.
Well, I think back to the dot-com bubble bursting, and if you were someone who put all of your money and you were so excited that you went and bought, was it grocery.com or grocerystores.com, it
was like Web Grocer.
Yeah,
like
it did not play out well for you. But if you were someone who was further along in your career and maybe had a risk tolerance that was slightly inside of the risk spectrum, and you had a well-diversified portfolio, not concentrated singularly in tech stocks, not concentrated singularly in just S&P 500, but you were well-diversified, and the dot-com bubble burst happened, you're going to go down. Your portfolio is going to go down, but it's not something that's going to leave you destitute, because we know that when the market goes down, there's often a V-shaped recovery. We saw that after the dot-com bubble burst in 2003. We saw that during 2009 after the Great Recession. We saw it in the midst of COVID, and we even saw it after 2022, with 2023 being a fantastic market year. So if you're in a well-diversified portfolio, even if some of the AI companies, whatever name you want to throw out there, are perhaps overly valued right now, or there's a little too much excitement, that's one of the reasons why we like a broadly diversified basket of goods, not just across a single asset class like U.S. large cap, but across the entire equity and fixed income universe. And if you design that well, I don't think you have to be worried necessarily about an AI bubble, because your portfolio will be structured to be able to weather that.
Well, we went into the specifics here, but the real question that our audience is going to say, should you be worried? And we'd argue the answer is no.
Nope.
Because, and what do we mean by that? And look, there's always going to be something that is going to scare you financially. Sure. I've lived long enough. I'm about to sneeze, fighting. Oh, did you see the elbow? Oh my God, see that good form on the sneeze? Did you see how considerate that was? Okay, carry on. Oh my God, I think that might be the first on-air sneeze we've ever had.
20 years of broadcasting.
First on-air sneeze.
First time I've seen him sneeze on air.
I need to wipe the nose. Okay, hang on. Oh yeah, I did that on air. Here we go. Let's keep this thing rolling. Okay, what should you do? We have to live show. The financial order of operations is your backbone, of course. Let me touch it with my sneeze hands. There you go. I'm so sorry. We all these content writers write all this great content, and then I show up.
Oh, yeah. So what should you do? How should you prepare? Why do we say that you should not be worried? Because if you have a plan, then you likely don't need to have the same level of anxiety as someone who does not have the plan. Unfortunately for you, we've built a plan for you. It is the financial order of operations. And you can have your very own copy if you want to go to moneyguide.com. You want the thing up for me?
Oh, yeah.
Moneyguide.com/resources. It will show you step by step, what should I do with my next dollar, depending on where I am. Well, if you are concerned right now, if you're trying to figure out, am I making the right decisions? Am I worried about what's going on? Have I actually followed the financial order of operations? And one of the things that you'll arrive at, you'll say, okay, I don't have any high interest debt. Okay, that's great. I've got a fully funded emergency fund. Okay, that's great. All right, I'm putting money in my Roth IRA, and I'm not going to touch that until I'm at least 59. And okay, I'm putting money in my 401k. I don't need to get to that money either for a decade. Okay, and it will reframe your mind to think, okay, I have a plan. I'm putting my money in the right places, and I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. So what if the market has volatility or ups and downs in the short term? Because right now, for me, where I'm at, I don't have to worry about what my dollars are doing in the short term.
Look, I look at the volatility as more of a feature than something you should react to. So this is why I stand by always be buying, baby, is that if you're just automatically setting up the behavior that you're saving, consistently, you're respecting, diversification and all that good stuff. No matter what happens through the volatility and other things, the financial mutant side of you is going to see the good in it, and then you're going to be better for it. Remember, we have done so much content on, if you invested during the Great Depression, yes, it was a 25-year period that the market went from this high, took 25 years to get back to that same high. But if you were buying every year, you annualized the rate of return of around 11%. The same thing happened with the lost decade. Everybody talks about how scary it was. I actually was managing money. I was investing money during those times. And once again, and it's amazing how it's pretty close. I think if you were buying every year, it also annualizes close to 9 to 11%. So these are the things. You see how the behavior, don't let the emotional side of stuff keep you from actually doing good behavior, because if your plan was good before, it's going to be good during, and it's going to be good after. Just make sure you're creating a plan of action and not just flopping around out there based upon what the media tells you or what you're putting in your head, what your relatives are telling you at these upcoming holidays. Actually have something that reflects what money can and cannot do for you.
And if you are someone who is in the accumulation stage and you are a financial mutant, it is possible, whether we see a downturn or not, that you can reframe your mentality to get kind of excited when those things happen. If you have your always be buying set on autopilot and you're putting money in your 401k and you're putting money in your HSA and you're putting money in your Roth IRA and you start to see the market kind of start to go down, you start to get a little excited thinking, holy cow, I'm getting a great deal right now. And you even start thinking, man, is there a way I could just increase my savings by 1%? I'm putting 5% in my 401k, but the market's freaking out. Ooh, is there a way I can really kind of squeeze, tighten the belt, and maybe put 6% in? And it's those kinds of folks who come out of on the other side of market downturns and the other side of volatility saying, man, that was an amazing opportunity. I think it's Warren, it's very bittersweet right now. Warren said in one of his
Warren G.
Yeah, Warren G and Nate Dogg, obviously, the two that we often talk about.
Warren Buffett, of course.
He said, when it's raining opportunity, reach for a wash tub, not a thimble. Well, when the market has volatility, when there are downturns, if you are someone who is in the accumulation phase, that's the way that you should think about it. And if you're not in the accumulation phase, you are near retirement, you are near financial independence, then you should be thinking, okay, is my portfolio appropriate for where I am? Does my risk tolerance match my risk capacity, and can I weather whatever storm may come my way? And so long as you've followed the financial order of operations and done the things that you're supposed to do, you can likely answer that in the affirmative.